Good morning. Good morning, guys. I totally forgot what day it was. It's been busy, crazy busy, and oh no, don't go away. Um, I think I'm gonna eat breakfast with you all. I'm getting my headphones. I am so sorry. I nearly forgot. Good morning, Iris, Kathleen, and I think it's Miko is the right name. Yeah, sometimes I worry about me too, guys. Okay, let's let's do this. Then if I talk softly, you can still hear me. Right? There we go. Hi everybody. I so totally forgot that today was Sunday. And I'll tell you why. It's been really busy, crazy. Well, I say busy, crazy. It has been, but different. It was 14 degrees last night. And because we knew it was going to be, can you hear me? Because we knew it was going to be so cold, the mechanics family allowed me to sleep inside the house. And it's just my Sabbath was not normal, so I'm a little off. And so I'm having beef and eggs for Sunday. That's what I did. Kind of an omelet. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad you guys are here. Can you hear me at all? Like I said, I'm talking softly. Some of the family's still asleep here. So this is where I'm going to turn this around. This is where I was camped out last night. That's my spot in the living room. And that's because I was sleeping in the tracker, but it was like 14 degrees last night. It was very cold. We all were concerned. The gentleman neighbor who got sick and ended up in the hospital recently had MRSA, and his whole leg is at risk. Mike went up to see him yesterday. Um, he's not sharing the truth about what happened with him. Don't see video. Are you serious? You can't see the video? Oh, I'm on their Wi-Fi. No, no. Hi, Skipperdoodle. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. Um, the sending the man here to the hospital thing really wore us all out. And because of that, we have, Mike's been working really super hard. Um, Parts are hard to get. It's challenging, but Friday night, we took the little blue car for a good test run and went up to the hot springs and hung out. And I cooked my hamburger over a campfire. They cooked hot dogs. Um, I don't think we got home until 10 o'clock. Um, I slept in the tracker that night. It was like 24 degrees or something. Um, then yesterday we were in the house a lot because it was cold and windy. And I knew that I was going to sleep in the house here because it was forecasted to be 14 degrees. And it was. Oh, it was because I could feel the drafts in the house. It was cold. And so I'll be 2 nights in the house, and then the forecast says it will be back up to 26 at night. And I can do 26 in the car with a little tiny electric heater we got me. Um, but the little blue car is doing pretty good. There's a couple more parts coming for it. I think Tuesday. I ought to be able to leave here in a week or two in the blue car. That will give him much, much more time to work on the white 98 tracker and get that pulled together. We've talked about it. He's thinking that he would like to break in the first 500 miles of the engine by driving it back to me when it comes time, picking me up and bringing me back here so I can continue travel from here again, which is kind of cool. And I told him that I was aware it might be spring before we get that done, or I have enough money to pay him or whatever. So that's what's happening with that stuff. Skipper Doodle, it's awful good to see that you're here. Uh, uh, when I go outside today, I so need a coat and stuff. It's cold. It's freaking cold. So, what do you guys got going on? You headwindy. Um, Catherine's fine. I see that. Skipper Doodle, I know it's a different day for you and 1 o'clock in the morning or something. Thank you for getting up and coming out to be with us. Um, is everybody doing okay out there? Oh, that's cool, Iris, that you were watching the old videos with Bob. Yeah, yeah. Um, I'm so unprepared this morning. I apologize. Um, I know y'all are so used to me like pulling myself together and coming out. But I went to pick up my phone after I fixed breakfast and I went, oh crap, it's Sunday. And then I saw that there were missed calls because I had the ringer off. I didn't want to wake people up. And yes, I'm eating in front of you. Um, I kind of don't know what to talk about. We installed on the blue car, I got all the carpet out. Um, it's in better shape. It smells better. Um, we put the radiator cowl in, shroud, shroud in. That was shipped from Puerto Rico and came in just about a week, which was pretty good. The stuff here in the States takes a lot longer to get. Um, and so we put that in, and the fan blades kept hitting the radiator shroud. And then we realized, hi, Greg. Then we realized that the fan blades hitting the shroud, the sticker was still on the fan blades, and we realized I didn't even look at the sticker. Because it fit so well. We realized that it was for the other model engine, not for my engine. So we thought about reordering, and I was like, no, you know what? What would it hurt if you just cut a little plastic off the fan blades? And so that's what we did. I mean, that's a real country, jury rigging. I don't know what words to use, but that's what we did. So it works. And I didn't have to reorder and figure out sending things back. I didn't have to do any of that. So There's a front passenger side. I'm not sure I'm going to have the right thing. Ball joint is broken on the blue car. That's the big safety issue that's keeping me from leaving sooner. So, um, that's supposed to come. We ordered it and they said it was going to come Thursday. And then we saw the new updates and it's supposed to be here Tuesday. So then, as soon as he can get that high enough so that he can work on it, we'll do that front end um, ball joint and CV boot and tie rod, all that stuff. I was able to get the stuff cheap enough so that it was worth doing. Because otherwise, I was starting to go, yeah, if it's too expensive, I don't know what decision I need to make about that blue car because a broken front end suspension stuff, not good. So the blue car also has the bushings in the front, which I forgot what they're called, and the bushings in the rear are getting ready to go. But Mike thinks I can get home with it and I can drive around a little bit before it goes. He told me what to listen for because that's going to be a more expensive thing to fix. But he thinks it's fairly safe with that, but just knowing that it's going to go. Mm, what else? Oh, the heater kicks butts. Okay, I didn't say that very good. The heater in that little blue car works like crazy. It's wonderful. Um, I don't. I'm trying to think what else to tell you, but that's the big stuff about. Um, like parts will come. Hi, good morning, sweetheart. So that's what it looks like. We'll be able to get some of that stuff done. Maybe over the weekend, next weekend or something. I don't know, or during the week. Depends on his other vehicles repair schedules. He really wants to get it up on the lift, but he's still waiting on parts for the car that's up in the lift because the parts that were sent from one company, the shipping people threw the boxes around and it damaged the parts. And so they were the last ones on the shelf. So he's having to figure out a way to either make them work or something because he needs the lift. So that's some of the delay. But oh, hi, new people. Arvis Martin, good morning. From the North Pole. My goodness, 3 degrees. Okay. Oh, I bet you do wish you were in quartzite. But quartzite's a little hot, I think, isn't it? Tiny George and George and Tammy are down in Yuma. Actually, I know it was awful hot for them recently. Um, but yeah, that's the sweetheart. Can you go close the door a little bit for Daddy? I'm talking on the phone. Can you close the door so Daddy can sleep longer? Because it's Sunday. Thank you, honey. You guys hearing me interacting with the kids here. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, wow. What a what an adventure this has been, but it is improving. And being able to test drive that blue car. Somebody asked me on Facebook why I bought the blue car instead of just begging for somebody. Well, they didn't say begging, asking somebody to come get me because people have offered to come get me, but they want like between $700 and $1,000 in gas money. And I thought that when this came up for a couple $100, I right now with all the parts I've ordered and everything, I've got $800 in this little blue car. And I'm like, for that amount, I could get home and be okay and give him a little more time to work on this car, me a little more time to save money. I think I think I'm making a wise decision, though it may seem different to some people. But some people are just not understanding that where I am in this rural area, it is like there's no Uber, there's no sidewalks, there's no Amazon drop offs, there's no corner store. It's 40 miles anywhere. If you don't have a car, you don't go. So, you know, homesteaders, a few old mining people that are still around, that kind of stuff. So it's a beautiful place. Oh, and the hot springs here will be great to camp at in the future. So, mm, how am I doing on this? How am I doing on this update for y'all? Because I slept really good last. Well, I tossed and turned a lot, honestly, being inside the house. But I slept warm, and I didn't wake up till 7. So, and yes, I'm still eating. Um, and I was so glad that Mike was able to go visit with the Jeremy from here is the guy that's in the hospital. But the news when they came back was not that good. And you know, Reno's 4 hours away. So he rode with somebody else. They split the cost to go visit. And they came back and we played Uno with the kids last night. Um, we've been trying to do more things to like relax and de-stress and encouraging Mike the mechanic to take the time off and actually, you know, spend some time with his family. So that's yeah, that's what's kind of happening. Super windy today. Yeah, I bet it is. You guys being at Imperial Dam, you're probably up on a hill, right? Mm. Um, I really don't know what else to tell you. I was very concerned between the health issue, learning that it was MRSA. Um, very concerned about any of that infection affecting one of the people in the family here or me. And me technically having an autoimmune, although mine's been pretty much in remission until all this high stress of the last week of sending him and some other stuff. And it was just too much stress. I started having a little muscular weirdness, practically Charlie horses again. So I have to really watch my stress. Stress is really hard for me. Mm. Oh, oh, okay. Not at Imperial Dam. Okay. Elsa, hi. Thank you. Nice to be here. Thank you for coming, Elsa, and thank you for following Tristan and seeing that video out there. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hi, Shane. How are you? So, I really feel badly that I didn't plan anything to talk about today, and there's new people here as I'm eating breakfast with you. But honestly, scrambled eggs with beef chunks in it is not good if I let it sit and wait. You know, it's cold. It's gross when it's cold. Um, I'm almost done. I decided to stop drinking coffee for a while. I think part of that is that I realized that coffee is the thing that starts me wanting more other foods. And right now, with this elimination diet I'm doing, I need to be careful for a longer period of time because MS is no joke, and I'm trying to cure it. And I know a couple of people who went so far as when they had their update uh, MS MRIs, it showed there were no signs of um, MS after a year doing the elimination diet I'm doing. But every once in a while, I just feel left out and I want normal stuff. And so that's why I let myself have the scrambled eggs with the meat this morning. But I'm going to stay away from coffee for now, and I'm going to stay away from the goat's milk for a while to see if I make a market improvement again. And if I do, then I'll stay off dairy for longer. I do okay with sheep's milk dairy, but I can't get that here. Okay. Mm. I'm not sure what else to say right now, but I might be able to leave like within the next 2 weeks. Mm. And it's so nice to finally start doing things that are kind of relaxing. And I hope I'm not waking them up, but I'm hearing the family starting to stir. Mm. Mm. Here, buddy. Wait a minute. I'll turn this around. Here, my plate with scrap. Here you go. Come on, Odin. Go ahead. Go ahead. There we go. The dog gets the scraps. Mm. Mm. Mm, mm, mm. Come back over to my chair. So, what can I tell you today since I'm not well planned for this? It is safe to camp in your car. We could talk about cold weather car camping. It is safe. Yes, Miss Alice. What's that? Oh, Daddy opened his eyes. Yes. So he's awake. I heard his voice. Were you talking to him? He's on the phone. Okay. Okay. So we don't need to close the door. I'm going to sit here and quietly talk to the people online. Remember how I don't show your face? Right. I can show your t-shirt, your pajamas. Wait a minute. I'll see if I turn that around. Look, I could show your shirt with all its glitzy things on it. You can wave with your hand, but I won't show your face because you're not my family. Okay, that's good. So everybody will say, "Hi, Miss Alice," and they'll write it. You can come on this side. You can see the picture on this side. It won't put you on the camera. But look, see, they'll type to me here, and they'll say, "Hey, Miss Alice." Hi. Okay. All right. Good job. So yeah. So Miss Alice is getting up, and her daddy's on the phone. See? Hi, Miss Alice. Hmm. Can you see your name? It's tiny. Yeah. Yes. Wave your hand. Wave my hand? Yeah. Okay. There's my hand waving. Okay. But I'm going to talk. I need to. Can I talk to them about? There's a lot of people on here. Can I talk to them about winter car camping and how to stay warm? Yeah. And sometimes you have to come in the house and sleep in somebody's house. Okay. Oh, thank you for coming, Jennifer. His name's Tristan, Jennifer. That was SUVRVing website or YouTube channel. Oh yeah, Tristan's a fun guy. He's cool. I don't think I've met his wife yet in person, but he's cool. So so I decided we'll talk about. I wasn't much prepared, Jennifer, as you're coming in a little later. Um, but I decided I'd talk about winter car camping because it's the situation I'm in right this minute. Thank you very much, Jennifer. I try to give a lot of information, and sometimes it's a short period of time, but Tristan lets me take my time. Um, so, in the background, so it has gotten really cold this week, especially last night. So in this particular situation, there's electricity around, and electricity is a little safer than having something like sterno in or a candle inside a very small car, uh, which is what I sometimes do. But in this case, there's so much around here that's flammable. If anything accidentally happened in the car and it got outside the car, it could make a big, big problem. So in the case of being safe, I decided this time, talked it over with the mechanic, and we ran an outdoor extension cord over to the tracker. And I got a little tiny, off of Amazon, tiny ceramic 200-watt electric heater. It's not much. And cars don't stay warm by themselves. They have no insulation. They're metal tin cans. They the windows allow the temperature to fluctuate a lot. And in my tiny car, not having I have some curtains I can put up, but I don't have like big insulation because I wasn't planning on being in cold weather. So I didn't even bring my deep winter regular gear like my wool socks for sleeping or my beanie hat or my wool gloves. I have a pair of gloves with me, but I didn't bring like the good the good deep winter stuff. So what we chose to do was put the little electric heater in there. And at 24, 26 degrees, I'm pretty comfortable with my sleeping bags. I have two 35, 20 or 35-degree sleeping bags. I couldn't afford a more cold weather sleeping bag right now. And I really need one that's not down. And so that's a thing that eventually I'll get. But for now, I was making do with what I got. I can double the sleeping bags up, put one inside the other to stay warmer. But so what I did this time was I put the electrical cord out there with his permission, and I went on Amazon and bought that little, I think it's Lasco, uh, 200 watt electric heater, and put that in there. There are lots of ways to stay warm when you're car camping. Just remember that one of the big, big things that the scouts used to teach is that you put two-thirds of the stuff you need to stay warm under your body. Now, in my tracker, I've got the benefit of the cloth seats under two-thirds of my body. And so that takes care of the cold coming up from the bottom. So I don't need to have that much stuff in there. And I like to be able to sit up and not hit my head on the roof of the car. So I try to make things not very thick so that it doesn't like sit me up higher. So it's not like you're sitting on a pillow. So back in the day, people would take carpets, rugs, old blankets, and layer them a thick layer on the bottom, and then put their cushy whatever they wanted to sleep on top of it because it'll keep you warmer. And then put your sleeping bag, or your blanket you're going to sleep in. Of course, some of you will know that wool is really warm and waterproof. And yes, I would like to have a wool sleeping bag liner. I just found that um, one of the hiking companies, well, it's not really hiking, but Big Agnes is selling a wool sleeping bag liner. I would love to have one of those, but I think it's a couple $100. Um, let's see what else. So being 14 degrees, I have slept in the tracker in 50-mile-an-hour winds and 17 degrees with snow in New Mexico before. And at the time, all I had was a small candle for heat. and it wasn't enough. And so I, being aware of that and being careful with my own health, I talked to the family about coming and sleeping inside the house. So that's what we've done because nobody wants me getting sick either. So, and it'll be today and tomorrow that I'll do that here. If you're out camping in your car, remember that yes, covering your windows if you're able to. Reflectix helps, but it's not the only thing you can use. Reflectix can be expensive. It looks homeless. You can use 3M77 uh, spray, which is spray adhesive, and you can cover the Reflectix with fabric to make things look nicer to you on the inside and be maybe black on the outside. Those things can help. Good morning, Stevie. Happy Sabbath yesterday to you too. Um, Thank you so much. Yes, and thank you for recognizing how special the mechanic is and that he cares enough to help me out. Yes. And that he's so skilled. That the skill he's got on top of everything else is really important. And so the fact that I'm going to try to leave, well, try. I'm going to leave the white 98 tracker here. And what I've done is, and he'll rebuild the engine. And then he's talking about it's possible that he will try to take a vacation. And when it's finished, do the initial break in of the rebuilt engine by bringing it to me and then bringing me back here so I can re jumpstart my travels from here, but knowing that the engine is in excellent shape. So that's a possibility. What I've done to catch you up, Stevie, what I've done is a local widow um, wanted to no longer deal with her late husband's vehicle. And so she offered it to me at a super low price. And so I bought that, and it's another tracker, but it's a newer, an '03, not in good shape. It was like a farm truck kind of vehicle. Um, it was kind of beat up and just just used hard. Um, and so we're working on making that safe enough for me to drive home. We've bought a few parts for it, and right now I've only got about $800 into that process. And I chose to do that because the things that I carry in with me when I'm traveling are the same things that I need with me to be comfortable at my cabin. And so things like my water port is my pressurized shower when I'm at the cabin, and my Kelly kettle is my best way of making hot water every day. And the refrigerator helps me keep the meat that I'm on this special diet right now. Helps me use it. I can use it as a freezer, and it keeps meat for a week or two. So having those things with me, it was really kind of impractical to try to. There's no buses around here. You have to go a couple of hours to get into some kind of bus that then takes you through, I don't know, through San Diego and then LA and then Las Vegas and then Flagstaff and then Phoenix to get me. It doesn't even make sense to go that way, and I can't take all that stuff on a bus. So um, then then a couple of people did offer to bring me home, but they were going to need between $700 and $1,000 in gas money. And so in this case, this is, I think, a wiser choice because it allows me to have some of my freedom back. And so what we've been doing is I've ordered some parts. We fixed a couple of things already. Some more stuff's coming because a front passenger ball joint, I think, is broken. Anyway, so I've had to order some of those things, but it wasn't a horrible amount of money. I mean, it was pretty inexpensive, but man, I got the last one on the shelf at the warehouse where I bought it from. So, we'll get those things fixed. And like I said, Friday night we took it for a test drive, and the mechanic was willing to put his family in the car, and we all went up to the local hot springs and relaxed because this week, this last couple of weeks, with the neighbor gentleman here having MRSA and in the hospital and having to send him to the hospital, all that stuff. It's just been a lot. And then the weather turned cold. So let's see. So when we're doing cold weather camping, whether it's in a vehicle or in a tent or in a cabin, cover your head. I don't like hats either, but wear a hat. Put gloves on. Keep your feet warm. Those things will keep you warmer. So, uh, what the things that happen to you when you start to get too cold is that if your body starts to get too cold, not your extremities, but your core part of your body, it starts to take your blood and direct it over to protect your heart to keep you alive. And because of that, you start to not be able to think well. And that's when people get hypothermia or can get into frostbite situations. So, um, I like to have a thin pair of gloves, like glove liners. Some of you'll know what those are and some won't, but you can look them up. I try to get a thin pair that's like glove liners. And then I try to have a pair of wool gloves or fingerless gloves or mittens or something for on top of that. So you can put them together and make them warmer depending on what you're doing. Um, I do the same thing with my socks. I do thin I try to do thin, y'all know about, um, they come out of Vermont. Hang on a second. Um, I can't think of brand name. Um, I'll think of it in a minute. But I try to get thin wool socks, and then I get a thicker pair of wool socks. So my thickest wool socks are my Smart Wool boot socks. Those are the ones I sleep in at night to keep my feet warm at night when I'm sleeping. During the day, I try to use the thinner socks, and I usually have ankle length or uh, knee length never stays up on my legs. So ankle length works pretty good for me. The thinnest, um, crap, what's the name of those socks? Anyways, they have a lifetime warranty. So if they ever get a hole in them or anything, you go to a store that sells them and they'll swap your socks for you for a new pair. Anyway, I usually have the thin, um, I usually have the thin, uh, I can't even see this. Okay. All right. I don't know what that was. I usually try to get thin ankle length socks, and then I get like the short socks, the little short ones that are thicker. And then I can put the thin ones inside the other ones. And sometimes I have two pairs of whatever. I try to have two or three pairs. Um, REI doesn't do anything for you. I never, uh, I never did much with REI. I grew up in Maine, so I was aware of LL Bean, and so REI didn't become a big thing on the East Coast until I was in Costa Rica. So I never got into that the same. Um, Darn Tough. That's the name of the socks. Darn Tough socks. So where any store that sells Darn Toughs or Amazon or Darn Tough themselves, if something happens to your socks, they replace them. So if you pay $20 for a pair of socks, It doesn't matter. You got socks for the rest of your life. That's kind of nice. So I use Darn Tough socks when I can get them, and Smart Wool for my thicker ones. I need to get wool, some other things in wool. Uh, I really would love to be back away. I used to not wear any plastic clothes, right? Um, but I haven't been able to afford the better fabrics right now. But they are things that are on my lists, my wish lists and stuff, to upgrade back to all natural fibers because they work better. I am technically allergic to down, and it's hard on me. You'll see me get puffy eyes, um, and sometimes really dark circles if I'm around. Like right now, my down coat, I'm starting to use it again, and I hear the stuffiness in me when I'm around it. So that happens. It's the same thing. I'm allergic to dog hair, so same things happens. But yeah, good socks. Get yourself a pair of thick whatever you want. If you're not like me and you're not into the minimalism part of it, it doesn't matter what socks you get, whether you get cotton socks or whatever else. But get a good pair of like thick boot socks that aren't necessarily pretty, but that you can wear to bed. It'll help you stay warm in your vehicles if you're doing that, or in your tent if you're doing a tent camping situation or something, or just all the heat goes out and you don't have power. Those things help. Candles can help, but you got to protect yourself because of the open flame. So I do own Yuko candelier, that puts 3 candles in it. I do have some of the other. I do have some of the other Yuko candeliers. I would like to have the one that's a 1 candle for this, for the white tracker. But it doesn't matter. Those work pretty well because they're, completely enclosed, and because they have the little spring in them that helps the candle light to stay in one position. And so if you're reading by it or something, it kind of is helpful for that. So that's kind of a nice thing. But you can use candles. You've got to be super, super careful. Some candles, when they melt, they become just liquid wax. That's dangerous if you spill it. You get it on you, or it can burn. And so you can create a fire if you were to spill it. So you need to be super careful with these things. But back in the 60s, it was common for the hippies who lived in their school buses. Schoolies were a thing back in the 60s. It's not new. Um, it was common that you would get what I lovingly, now please don't take this wrong if if there's a better name for this and I don't know it yet, but I call them the come to Jesus candles. The the tall glass, like Latino candles that often have a, I don't know if it's Catholic or not, but has a religious symbol sometimes on the outside of them. You can find them in grocery stores and dollar stores and things like that. Um, they those are 100% paraffin wax, and so they burn kind of clean. And most people aren't allergic to them. And one of those will keep the space of a regular van warm really well. When I first started out and I knew that I was allergic to propane, I had an enamel coffee cowboy coffee pot, and those tall candles would fit down, one would fit down inside that coffee pot, and because the coffee pot's fat or wide on the bottom, it was more stable sitting in the van. So I could put it in a special place on the floor and make sure nothing was near it and no blanket could fall off the bed and get near it. And I could leave that running all night and stay warm ish in the van. But in schoolies, they used to put 2 or 3 of those around inside the school bus to keep warm. So I'm just saying there are ways, but man, be careful and don't burn yourself up. That I know of people who have burned their vans down trying to use camp stoves inside, and they were hoarders and had like more newspapers than anybody knew, and their van burned to the ground. I know people who have trying to keep warm done not smart things in cars, like putting a coffee can with charcoal inside a car. That's gonna burn. It's gonna catch something on fire. Don't do that. Be careful, okay? Um, Getting yourself warm when you're outside before you go to bed's a good idea. Warming, some people do. I used to also do hot water bottles, and if you get good ones, medical grade ones, they don't leak usually. I've never had one leak. You can use an Nalgene bottle, but why buy a bottle just for that? So, I'm just saying, just also the little hand warmer packs that now come in different sizes because now they make them for shoes, for your hands, and bigger packs for other things. But those, like, they have some chemical in them that when you shake them up, it's black, powdery, nasty stuff. But you can stick them in your gloves and your boots and things like that. Throw a couple in the bottom of your sleeping bag. Those things are great. They work for that. They work. You could put one in your hat. You can put them in your mittens, your gloves, and they help. Baked potatoes in the campfire. Stick the baked potato in your glove. Won't hurt anything. When you were waiting for the school bus, that's what we used to do. Was bake potatoes, stick them in your mittens, small potato, in your mittens, and it would keep your hands warm while you were waiting for the school bus, and then you had the potato to eat for lunch. And so, I mean, I did it, and I know it was an older thing than that. That's pretty early 1900s, 1800s stuff, but it works. I've done it. I've had to do it when I was out camping before. So, these are things that can work. So, um, I actually, there you go. Yes, those prayer candles. Yeah. Um, And yes, the carnivore diet is supposed to improve allergies. I think it has improved some of my allergies, but because I have had so much damage to my body from the things that resulted in MS, I really have to concentrate all my efforts on doing this lion diet as much as I can. Now, right now, that breakfast was carnivore, not lion diet. Okay. But I have to concentrate my efforts on the MS and be grateful for any extra I have, extra healing that happens for me. And so I'm trying not to, even though I always do, I'm trying not to be so concerned about my weight or not so concerned about the allergies. I think I do better. Like, I'm sleeping in this house and there's a dog with dog fur, and there's dog hair all over because you can't help it. And I've been being okay. Okay. And I still feel it. I still feel and I have environmental stuff. I've never been diagnosed with like uh, MCAS, which is multiple chemical sensitivities or something like that, but I have it. Okay. I've known for years. It's part of why I like to sleep in the vehicles because I can control the environment better. Houses suck, because there's always something that bothers me. Um, when we build, when we used to build things around my van, or when I'm doing a platform and stuff like that, I have to off gas all the materials. I can't just put vinyl flooring in a van and not react to it, stuff like that. So I react to perfumes, all kinds of stuff. So why do it if I can help? So good morning, Mike. Oh, okay. I'm surprised you went out like that. It was very cold when Sam left. And I think it's, what is it, about 10 o'clock now? Oh, it's 10:30, so it should be warmer outside. Yeah. Um, yeah, and I understand diesel heaters are pretty good. And I've seen a couple of new diesel heaters. There's one, I don't know the name brand, but there's one that's come out that's in, she's fine. There's one that came out that's in a box like a Pelican case. That's the way it was built. And it's some American company that's done it. I love the looks of that one because it looks like it's ready to go, right? And I don't know with the tracker. I've thought about how could I have a diesel heater, and because it would kind of be nice, but I have such limited space. We got to work on eventually how I can have a roof rack on the diesel on the white tracker, the 98 tracker, and then how I can pack what I really want as light as possible and keep it reasonable. So there was only one time in Baja. Yeah, I'm not. One time in Baja that I needed more gas, and so I ought to have at least a gas bladder that I could use if I knew I was going on a trail that I might need extra gas. Because when you put a vehicle in 4-wheel drive, you just eat gas quick, so uses a lot more gas. So yeah, it's possible. I have not personally used a diesel heater, but I grew up in a house that we had a wood stove in the basement, and my dad always kept the heat right around 60 degrees. I don't remember, maybe 63 degrees in the house. And it was always put a sweater on. It's winter. Um, but we had the wood stove in the basement, and we ran forced hot water through they were copper pipes with little fins on them that were the radiator things. Um, and that was run by a diesel furnace. So, so I'm kind of aware of how that heat works, and um, I probably would be fine with a diesel heater. Um, and in this small space, I have to figure out if I'm going to do that. I have to figure out how it would work. I think, isn't it Chrome from Van City Van Life? Doesn't he have a gasoline version of a diesel heater? But I know he's using diesel heaters in the shop, and he installs them and stuff. And now he's got some sponsorship with or affiliation with one of the diesel heater companies. So I know he's doing stuff. Yes, I watch Van City Van Life. Love him. His stuff's interesting. Um, and if you're watching him lately, he's just going through with his van the same thing I went through with the tracker. Thought he had a problem, didn't think he had, wasn't a bad problem. The mechanic looked at it, lowly looked at it. He drove on, I don't know how many more 100 miles, and then he started seeing smoke out his tailpipe. Now, I never had the smoke out the tailpipe, but he was like, something's not right. There's a ton of smoke, and all of a sudden I got no power. And so he was like, his mechanic lowly said, make your way back to the shop. He got back to the shop. They started tearing it apart. They thought it was a head gasket. When they looked further, it wasn't a head gasket. The whole engine's bad. So he's buying a new engine for his van. But if you see that, you'll understand some of what I'm going through here. That this isn't a light issue. It's a big problem. And it's not something that you know right away what's going on. You start to do some things, and then you find what's really happening. So it's, if you watch his, you might be able to understand better why this has taken so long and everything. Because some people are just like, what is wrong? Why haven't you just left yet? Why haven't you got a new engine in there? Well, you can't just buy a new engine for my car, so some of you have newer cars, and you could just buy a new engine if you've got $6,000 or $7,000. I ain't got it like that. So here we are. Plus the fact that they just aren't available. So I'm blessed that I found somebody who knows how to rebuild an engine for real. And so we're going to leave it right here and get it fixed. because I love that car. And that car is very capable and can do lots more cool trips. So I don't know yet uh, if I'll take it up to Alaska, but I would I would love to, but I have to first we have to first get it fixed and then figure out what's possible for me to do for trips. But this breaking down for a long, long time is challenging. And so, okay, so we've talked about some ways to keep warm in a vehicle. I do not recommend using your propane, but remember that that comes with the fact that I also am allergic to propane, but I know how it works. And I have been around plenty of people who use it, and it creates condensation and rain so bad inside your vehicle, it will help your vehicle rust out. And I don't find that to be healthy. I've seen too many people be even colder trying to use a Mr. Buddy, and it really didn't keep them warm. Now, a Mr. Buddy in a cabin is a different situation. I wouldn't do it. That's me. But it's not a dry heat, it's a wet heat. And so I like the dry heat of a wood stove, which is what I put in my cabin. But I also have trees and wood available to me. So I'm able, because of my low income, I'm able to get my light heat fuel assistance, and they are able to provide me with cordwood. So that is one factor why that cabin is set up like it is. But it's a dry cabin. And so I'm camping when I'm there, I'm camping when I'm here. I'm composting my bucket uh, contents when I'm at the cabin. And on the road, I'm disposing of my bucket contents in the proper, you know, safe trash kind of method, depending on where I am. Now, if I'm in a very rural wilderness area with very little camping around, I will dig a hole and I will do hikers, cat hole bathroom things. Yes, lamps work. That's right. You have a sailboat, Jennifer? Good for you. Yes, that's that's a good point that that you're reminding me of, Jennifer, when you say that. Um, yes, lamps can and lanterns can be good heat as well. Oil lanterns, if you're using, for most people, the 100% paraffin lamp oil is usually not an allergen for most people. That works pretty good in a lot of situations too. You do need to be careful because it's a liquid. You do need, I got to say all this stuff, and but use your really good um, use your good common sense, and yeah, be careful with these things so that you're not having a spillage and then a big fire or a big accident. Accidents can happen, and we don't mean them to, but they can. So, with lanterns, make sure that it's safe wherever you're putting it, or it's hanging in a safe way. But one of the things, and sterno, yes, I use sterno inside my vehicles when it's cold to make my first, when I was making coffee, to make my first coffee of the morning inside before I get out. And I know how to do it and be careful with it in my tiny spaces because I've practiced forever. And so I'm super, super careful. If you can get your hands on a Sterno Inferno hiking stove, unfortunately, the pot is aluminum, but the windscreen and everything on it is fantastic for keeping a protected can of Sterno burning in a small space, and the wind doesn't bother it as much. I do like those. Just the pot, unfortunately, is aluminum. So if you can get your hands on one of those, that's a useful little thing. You can also make yourself a a stove out of tin cans and use a sterno can or canned heat. You can do those things, but again, they're open flames. Be super careful. um, I'd feel horrible if it was, well, Lesa said, and I burned myself up. I'd feel horrible. But on top of that, I'm not trying to have the liability thing either. Um, but what you reminded me, Jennifer, is that when I'm hunting for solutions to the things that I love in my life, which is this outdoor living where I'm healthier, and the car camping and hiking stuff that I love, and the travel and light and often that I like crazy love. If I can hop a plane and go visit people, absolutely. Um, they I look at ultra lightweight hiker gear and information. I watch those videos. I look at bushcraft survival stuff all the time, you know, because I love fires, and I build fires well and cook on fire and all that. But I also use, yes, like you, Jennifer, I also use an alcohol stove. Yes, absolutely. Um, I look at sailboats, and especially historic. Look at older stuff, because the older stuff. I have a buddy, I think it's Waypoint Outdoors. He kind of puts out like hobo era survival stuff. I met him once. He's a cool guy. Anyway, uh, his information is really good. But I like to look at that older stuff like that, because there's little tips and tricks for stuff you already got or you don't got. Um, so you don't have to buy stuff. I mean, come on, I'm dealing with a budget too. So, I'm always trying to do everything I can budget friendly, that makes sense, ultra lightweight. So hikers, ultra lightweight hikers, depending on your needs, right? But people who live on sailboats, things like that. Um, the Ericsson, is that's your boat, or that's your, I don't know that name. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, I have used Sterno to stay a little warmer in a kind of emergency situation as well. But just like I said, and like George and Tammy, Tiny GPS was commenting on, yes, you can build a little container box to put something in to keep things safe. But use your safety, use your smarts to not burn your ass up, okay? Because I can't handle that. But there are alternative ways to do things. Some people used to heat up rocks near the fire pit and then wrap them in a towel and put them in a safe place, a safe way. I've seen rocks that have too much water in them split in half with the heat. So be careful with that one, but it's possible. Hot water helps, yes. Um, Eating a little bit of something sweet just before you go to bed. And I'm saying sweet. If you're diabetic, I ain't telling you to eat, I'm not telling you to eat a big thing. But old timey hikers knew that the original old Snicker bar thing, or Gorp, good old raisins and peanuts, if you ate a little bit of that or a little piece of chocolate before you went to sleep, and we're talking half a Snickers bar, we're not talking a big thing. We're talking a small piece before you go to bed, or a teaspoon or a tablespoon of honey before you go to bed. It will create your body will create, it'll send more of your body heat towards your stomach to keep your core processing that stuff, to keep you warm while you go to sleep. Then you go to sleep. When you get up in the morning, you do the same thing again before you get out of your sleeping bag. It's an old hiker thing from years and years ago, and it works. Um, I didn't use Snicker bars. In fact, recently I would use honey. I would use raw honey. So Good, yes, and fire extinguishers a good thing. Make room for one. I have a small, like, aerosol style kitchen fire extinguisher in my white tracker, and I usually have a box of baking soda as well, but it's because of the kind of fires I have that I have those things instead of, and space, because of, I don't have that much room. So, um, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Um, some people do that, have a glass of whiskey or have an alcoholic drink. I don't know if that does the same thing, but I bet it's similar. But if you're alcoholic, don't use that as an excuse. Come on. I have trouble with coffee. If I get too stressed out, I will start wanting to only drink coffee and put a lot of milk in it and not eat food. And it creates a different issue for me, evidently. So, whether it's goat milk or not goat milk, I probably need to make sure that I'm okay when I'm having my coffee rather than just having it every day. So for now, while I'm healing up the MS, I've decided to stop drinking coffee again for a while. But it's always I would love to be a coffee in the morning and red wine at night girl. I would love to be that, but I don't seem to be able to do that right now. So yes, Jennifer. But for now, I'll get up, I'll make a cup of hot water, and I'll drink hot water. Of course, for me, using my Kelly kettle, some of you know what that is, but using my Kelly kettle, I make a small fire. So I have some warm while I'm making the hot water. And and it always feels good to be bundled up in your coat outside in the sunshine as it comes up. I hope that's given you something meaty today. Um, yeah, I would love to be that girl too. That was the picture in my head for a long time, that I could have coffee and homemade bread toast for breakfast for my life, and that then I could have wine at the end of the day. I never thought about wine and chocolate, but now that we know wine and chocolate is a thing, sounds good to me. But I don't seem to be able to do that. So, but it was always the picture I had, and a nice, I grew up in Maine, a nice bulky wool fisherman sweater, and live near the beach, where when it would snow, you get to go out and be the first person to make tracks on the beach. That was. I think that's the bomb. But so, do you guys have more questions today? I think I want to just kind of let you all go a little sooner. I'm so glad, Skipper Doodle, that you were able to come out. I know it's so early in the morning, but thank you for sacrificing some time and coming out. I did share about your cottage being for sale, and a couple of people called me this past week, but I told them I had to find out whether it was with a real estate agent or what. And I believe that they wanted to do the owner financing. So if you want to text me about that, Skipper Doodle, I can try to get more information. If you're not interested and you just want to do the real estate thing, that's good too. But I tried to. And I guess y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you all for coming out this morning. Um, I do not know what that Arabic uh, comment was that's in mixed in our stuff. Um, Thank you all for being here. All you new people that are coming out from seeing Tristan's video, I really appreciate your support. I do have things like super chats and super thanks, and I do have Amazon wish list and Cash App and stuff like that. I do have those things if you want to help me out. But right now, let's wait a minute, see how I'm doing. And if I need help, I will ask you guys. Yes, it's challenging, and of course, once I get mobile again, I might feel challenged with my budget because I won't touch the savings I have for the white tracker. And so I'll be trying to avoid emergencies everywhere I can. But I don't like to ask for things. I like to do for myself. So let's just keep hanging in there, right? So y'all, okay. So y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and stay warm because it is colder this week. For now, I mean, it's winter, starting to be winter. Um, Tiny and uh, George and Tammy, y'all be careful down there in Yuma. I know that's kind of newish for y'all to be down there. I know Brooke. Oh, I did see her out here today. I know she's down in Quartzsite already with some other people. So, um, y'all have a wonderful week. Maybe I'll have better plans for something to say next week. So, y'all have a good one. Bye bye.